Bloomberg's comprehensive cross-platform coverage of the U.S. market close starts right now.
And right now, we are 2 minutes away from the end of the trading day. Romaine Bostick alongside Scarlett Fu. We're counting you down to the closing bell. You're here to take us beyond the bell. It's a global simulcast with our friends Tim Stenovic, Jennifer Ryan in today for Carol Master. Welcome to our audiences across all of our Bloomberg platforms as we count you down here to those closing bells, Tim. And this is a pretty good day here. 1.5% on the S&P, 2% on the NASDAQ. That big dip that we saw yesterday that had put that rally on pause, that's now a thing of the past.
Did everyone just forget about what Jay Powell said yesterday? I mean, is that what's happening here? I don't know.
Did he say anything different than what he said on November 1st?
No, but I think hawkish tilt is the term that a lot of people are going with. We did speak earlier to Rob Hayworth over at U.S. Bank Asset Management. He made a really interesting point about the companies that are doing the best today, the companies at the top of the S&P 500, the mega-cap tech companies. He said that shows that investors are still worried about higher rates for longer because they're buying companies that aren't necessarily relying on the debt market for funding for their future growth, so they won't necessarily be subject to those higher rates, Jennifer.
I know, and it's a very tricky calculus for a corporate treasurer because, you know, you're kind of getting two different things. On the one hand, you had a little bit more dovish tone to the Fed minutes, and now we've got Powell and some other Fed officials coming out and trying to tamp back on that. But still, we've got to look ahead to retail sales. We've got inflation numbers next week, so that could help give a clearer picture.
Yeah, I was trying to take a look, too, at kind of just how much conviction was behind some of the moves that we've seen in equities. I mean, this is a broad-based rally on the day, but when you really add it up on a weekly basis here, you're really talking only about a third of the names in the S&P 500 are actually posting a gain on the week. Remember, those first 3 days of the week, even though we were in the green, there was relatively tepid gains here. So the strength that we're seeing here on this Friday really just kind of clawing us back, I think, to kind of where we were about a week ago. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is going to finish out the day higher, up by about 1% or about 390 points and change. The S&P 500 higher by about 68 points or 1.6%, and an official close above 4,400, 44.15 and change, which is also above that 100-day moving average. Meanwhile, the NASDAQ Composite higher by almost 300 points or 2% on the day. And for once, the Russell 2000 decides it actually wants to play along, up 1% on the day.
All right, well, this is pretty broad-based, at least in the S&P 500. Peeling back the layer there, Scarlett, you see 436 stocks in the S&P 500 higher today, only 65 moving lower. I feel bad for whoever's doing decliners, Scarlett.
Yeah, that'll be me later on.
Okay.
I look at the New York Stock Exchange, almost 3 stocks higher for every one that is lower, and that it's pretty much reflected in the industry groups as well. Chip companies are the best performers on the day and for the week as well, up about 5.5% this week. Software services and autos, that's really Tesla, bringing up the rear in terms of the best 3 performing groups. In terms of laggards, because all the industry groups are higher, food, beverage, and tobacco, telecom, and pharma. So the more traditional defensive sectors are not doing as well today.
All right, let's take a look at what's going on in terms of gainers today. I wanted to highlight Microsoft shares hitting an all-time high today, up 2.5%. The company having its best day, at least price-wise, highest price, going all the way back to 1984 when it IPO'd. Shares now trading at $369 or closing at $369.67 today. Let's talk about the best performer on a percentage basis. Microsoft on a points basis, the best performer. The best performer on a percentage basis today is Hologic, the diagnostic products company. It reported fourth quarter revenue and adjusted earnings per share that beat Wall Street's estimates. Investors sending shares of the company up by 7.3%. And then let's take a look at NVIDIA as well, because that company, among the mega cap tech companies that are leading the rally today, we saw Microsoft higher, we saw Apple, Amazon, Tesla, Meta Platforms, all among the biggest gainers on the S&P 500. NVIDIA finishing the day higher by close to 3%. It's now up for an 8th straight day. Sounds like a lot of days in a row, but weirdly, it's only its longest winning streak going back to March of this year.
All right, let's take a look at some of the decliners. It wasn't too hard to find because the ones that fell by a lot as investors continue to punish companies that don't do good, that don't make good on their forecasts. Illumina was the worst performer in the S&P 500 after the DNA sequencing company cut its full-year sales and profit outlook for a second straight quarter, off by more than 8%. PowerPlug, the hydrogen producer, falling as much as 46%. That is the biggest drop in a decade. Investors questioning, or I should say Plug Power, investors now questioning whether the company can survive without additional funding after it issued a warning as a going concern. At least 5 analysts downgraded the stock afterwards. And Trade Desk, this is something that Romaine highlighted yesterday when we were looking at earnings. It's a digital advertising platform giving a fairly weak forecast for revenue this quarter, raising concern, of course, about the health of the ad market overall. The CEO said that Trade Desk saw reduced spending around cell phones, media, and entertainment starting in October, although it has recovered a little bit for this month. But we also saw declines in Snap and Pinterest, which rely on advertising sales, falling in response to what happened at Trade Desk.
Yeah, let's take a look at what's going.
Trailblazing technologies like AI, robotics, and next-level connectivity have modernized.
We're very festive in our household.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah.
I
I'm
haven't
thinking
gotten the
about.
invitation to the holiday party yet. It's so
I mean,
weird. I
let's
never get these
check the
invitations
mail.
about these festive things.
He's
they
always
do.
saying to check the mail.
Okay.
Home Depot is also reporting next week. So to Jennifer's point about what people are spending their money on, we know that during the pandemic, it was on your home and on everything related to freshening up your home because suddenly people are spending 24 hours inside their home. But going forward, the big question is, if people aren't moving out of their homes and they're kind of stuck there because the housing market is frozen in place, how are they spending in that way?
Yeah, Scarlett, you can also buy Christmas decorations at Home Depot too.
Yes, you can.
And other sort of.
I thought they
festive
only
things.
sold skeletons that were like 10 stories high.
No.
they do Christmas
Have you been to?
decorations
You know,
too?
there's a Home Depot right next to Bloomberg World headquarters.
I
You can do
know.
all your holiday shopping there. I guess depending on how much you love the person that you're shopping for here. But there's something for everybody.
Maybe garbage disposal or
Yeah, don't
something,
take my
fire
advice. Don't get your
extinguisher,
wife in it.
fun gifts like that.
Bad idea.
Yeah, not a great
Not
idea.
that I'm speaking from experience.
Hey, we actually are interviewing the CEO of Butterball a little later in the program.
The turkey company?
Wow.
Yeah, the turkey company.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you guys know how much turkey prices have gone up?
Yes.
You do?
Yeah. Well, I mean, just anecdotally, yeah. I mean, at the store,
Well,
I don't
actually-
know the percentage, Tim.
they're actually the same price last week that they were 1 year ago last week,
What?
Really?
according to the USDA.
Oh.
So a little bit of
Right.
relief for consumers.
Are they giving
$1.14
away
a
free
pound.
turkeys this year? Because I remember last year, a lot of stores were using turkeys, either free or heavily discounted turkeys as kind of loss leaders to get people in the door.
Free turkey.
Yeah, free
I
turkey.
can't get my head around that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, nobody eats turkey any other time of year, so I don't know.
No,
why
no,
the
that's
prices
not
need to
true.
be
Cold
up.
Not
cuts.
true.
Cold
Yes.
cuts, right?
There we
Turkey
are.
sandwich.
There we are.
I don't believe it.
$10.99 a pound.
I refuse to believe that anyone eats turkey outside of the holidays.
Romaine, you don't get out enough.
All right. So when's that invitation coming to the holiday party?
There's some supply chain issues, Tim, but they will. I guarantee you, it's getting to you. Yeah,
All right, that's what
Yeah.
happens. All right, do we have to go?
I think so. Tim.
Okay, I think I'm being told.
This is normally when Carol does that, but she always forgets.
You know who else? We're also having some salted caramel whiskey on later.
Yeah, sorry guys.
Of course.
So
What are you doing on
Look at-
radio? Is this what happens in
the
November?
charm,
on radio?
Jennifer, you're sitting next to I mean, all they do is really just do wine and whiskey segments for that
that's
matter, and food
on
segments.
Fridays. It's kind of how it
and that's
works.
all it is. So you're just living the life of Riley over there.
Yeah, well, don't tell anyone.
Yeah.
How does turkey pair well with this whiskey?
I don't know.
Yes.
They just give us tap water here on set, so we don't get any.
Pairs well with everything.
All right, guys, that is going to do it for Beyond the Bell, our cross-platform coverage of the market close on Bloomberg TV, on radio, on YouTube, and Bloomberg Originals. Meantime, catch us same time, same place on Monday. Have a great weekend, everyone.